Well, folks, President Donald Trump just got a huge victory in women's sports. The University of Maine, their college system, has caved to the Trump administration when it comes to allowing mentally ill biological males in female sports. So we all know Trump issued an executive order back in February, made it crystal clear. If there's a school or a state that allows mentally ill biological males to compete in women's sports, they're going to lose federal funding. Whether it's for the university system, whether it's from research grants, whatever it is, if they are allowing this to happen, they are not going to get money from the federal government. And these states rely heavily rely on federal funding and federal grants for the day-to-day operations inside of the college system. Now, we know Maine, led by this radical, crazy Democrat, Janet Mills, really decided to play the rebel, dug their heels in, and it really just blew up in her face. It's like we all saw the pretty famous video at the White House from a couple weeks ago. Take a listen.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well,
I'm here.
are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. The NCAA.
Oh, it does not get better than that with Donald Trump, Never afraid to call some woke-ass liberal right out to her face. But fast forward to this week, March 2025, and guess what? The state of Maine has caved. The University of Maine system, UMaine, and the state backed down after the Trump administration paused their funding from the agriculture department. I believe they were getting... I believe it was a grant that was supposed to be renewed, and because they weren't in compliance with Title IX, Trump just said, look, no compliance, no cash. Well, what can I tell you? And that's it's like we're talking like $250 million on the line here. It is a huge win for the Trump administration, a huge win for women, fairness in sports. And here's the thing. This is what could really hurt the Democrats. They keep finding themselves on the wrong end of these 80-20 issues. Polling from even the most liberal pollsters show that upwards of 70% of Americans do not support allowing transgender mentally ill biological men in women's sports. They just don't. Even the liberals don't approve of it. But somehow the Democrats, this is the hill they're going to die on. We all know the Democrats in the Senate about a week ago voted unanimously to allow these biological men in women's sports. So it's like they're saying one thing, but then they're voting a different way. And then when it comes to the governor of Maine, it's like, she really thought she could out-tough Trump on this. No, you can't. You're not going to out-tough the Trump administration. You're going to huff, you're going to puff, threaten, legal action. But here's the kicker, that when the federal government's paying your bills, you're going to do exactly what the hell we tell you to do. That's the reality of the situation. There's no DEI, no mentally ill men in women's sports. It's as simple as that. And it is nothing against the transgender people. These are people who deserve respect. They obviously need help. They don't need surgery. They need to go see a psychiatrist. They need to talk to someone about this. They do not need to dominate female sports. There's a reason we have female sports, to have a separate entity to allow women to compete in. And even the most liberal people in Maine are saying that they're relieved to put this behind them. So are they relieved, or did they just see the writing on the wall? Like, let's be honest about this. And we know women's sports have been under attack for years. Biological males with a clear biological physical advantage have been allowed to compete in women's sports, stealing scholarships, titles, and opportunities from their female counterparts. And Trump's executive order and this victory in Maine says enough is enough. It's about fairness. It's about protecting women's integrity and just women athletics in general. The University of Maine system's compliance means no more males in women's locker rooms, no more unfair matchups on the field. It is a return to sanity and common sense. Regardless of if you like Trump or not, you cannot argue that there are many policies that are common sense. This is one of those common sense policies, and the Democrats are choosing the 20 side of this 80-20 issue, and I really believe it's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And here's the thing. It's not about hate. It's about reality. Science backs this up. Men and women are built differently biologically, and pretending otherwise does not empower anyone. It hurts women. Because if you believe that they're exactly the same, then why don't we just have, why don't we just have one team? Why don't we just have the tennis team? Not the male tennis team, not the female tennis team, the tennis team. Why don't we have the golf team? If there's no biological difference, well, because most women just aren't going to win. Like if we're just being honest, because men have certain biological realities that, or possibly, they have an upper hand on women, and there just is no doubt. It's not about putting women down. It's about accepting the biological reality of the situation. And the woke experiment is over, and common sense is coming back. Now, we know the left, they're screaming, it's discrimination, it's transphobia, and just shut the hell up, honestly. Like, to be honest, just shut the hell up. But where were they when the female athletes were losing to biological males? It's like, there was recently a case where there was a marathon that was run, all female, and there was a transgender who beat the record in this race by like 4 hours. Like 4 hours, this person beat it. It is just insane. But so where were all the Democrats screaming about all this discrimination when these biological males were beating biological females? Where was the outrage then? Because the Democrats try and make this sound like they're standing on principle. But let's be real. They're not standing on principle. This is all about appeasing the radical 5, 10, 20% of their party. It's about appeasing Big Pharma, because they know Big Pharma makes a ton of money doing this. They make a ton of money doing this. Janet Mills, the Democrats, they caved because the money dried up. And principles don't pay the bills. A grant from the federal government is what pays the bills. And the media, CNN, MSNBC, are on complete meltdown. Headlines calling Trump a bully, but they're missing out on the point. This is not about being a bully. It's about fairness. It's about treating women with respect. And women across the board appreciate this. Even some of the most radical, liberal women agree that transgenders should not be allowed to compete in female sports. But this is just the start with Maine. There are other states that have got letters from the DOJ. They've got basically a dear colleague letter, which is kind of just a nudge like, hey, you're in violation of the law. You better do something about it. You look at Minnesota. The high school league here has said they are not going to follow federal law. I hope they get their federal funding revoked. The state of California, the superintendent said they are not going to follow the federal law. I hope you get your funding revoked. Maine is just the start. And if Trump can go into a blue state of Maine where Harris won by 7, 8 points and Biden won by like 10 points, imagine what you could do in these other radical places where Trump's only losing by 4, 5, 6 points instead of up to 10 points. But this should set the precedent. Federal funding is hammered in, and Trump is not afraid to take a swing at it. Schools and governors better think twice before defying federal law. And this is a signal. The conservative people, the conservative faction of America right now is winning the culture war. One battle at a time, but they are 100% winning the culture war. Women's sports are safe in Maine and will be safe in the United States in not very long. And it's a domino effect. The dominoes are going to fall down for these people. Their house of cards is going to come tumbling out from under them. So, but here's the thing. We cannot get complacent. The left will regroup. They're going to put another pressure campaign on, but this is the reality. We have to make sure that every American knows that Trump is fighting for them when it comes to women's sports. So that's all for today, folks. That's going to wrap everything up on Trump's huge victory in Maine. Game changer for women's sports. We are really, really happy to see what's happening. Drop a like down below. Leave something down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on what Trump was able to get done. And smash that subscribe button so you never miss another video from us again in the future. We'll catch you next time.